What do you think Peter's reaction would have been to Jesus' rebuke of, "Get behind me, Satan"? Do you think he understood?
Yeah, it's a good one, right? Like, what's going on here in Peter's mind? I asked you in the table talk what you thought was going in his mind when he said, "You are the Messiah." This is an even better question. What's going on here? I think what I'm going to have to default to here is that Jesus' interaction and his words with his disciples come within the context of a very well-developed relationship and friendship that we don't always get to see. We get these snippets, we get these glimpses, we get these moments that someone thought was important enough to pull out of a long, ongoing relationship and say, hey, look at this moment, it's going to give you insight. My guess is that when Jesus said this, he didn't just walk away and leave it at the end of that. He began to teach his disciples and explain to them. And you actually see glimpses of that in the scriptures, right? You will see things like Jesus teaches to the crowd, and then the gospel writers will say things like, then he went with his disciples and began to teach them all these things. You know, like there's more to this relationship than we get to see. So we are getting this stylized look at the punctiliar moments that are going to guide us along in the story. But I'm going to trust that there's more than that there. And that because of the kindness, because of the relationship, because of the meals that they shared and the miles that they walked together, Peter might not have gotten it, but I'm going to hope in that moment he didn't feel discarded. He felt encouraged in some strange way to continue to move forward and pursue Jesus there. And I mean, I wish we all had that thing, but what we got is the Gospels, and they're pretty great there. So, Bobby, what do you think?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
There's something to me. I'm drawn to this idea of like those moments where you really see the truth of yourself. Like there's something about, and it hurts a bit. Like I got ahead of myself, or I was wrong about this relationship, or I don't know as much as I want about this thing I thought I knew a lot about. And that moment when you face yourself, it's startling. But it can also, like, there's this hope that opens up in it where you think, yeah, like, I can walk towards that. I had this friend in my early 20s, and I always felt like she had a bigger vision for my life than I had for myself. She was always like, no, do your MDiv, like, do all the languages. And she just thought, like, no problem for you. And I was like, I'm just little Bobby. Like, that seems really hard. And I always just thought, I almost felt myself growing into it. Like, Luann saw a bigger Bobby than I could see of myself. And I wonder if I'm drawn to that kind of imaginative exploration in this as we're standing here.
Yeah, I mean, even when you're talking about that, I'm thinking of examples. Like, we do this on staff, and Bobby's done this for me, where I've said something and she's called me out on it and been like, that's not cool. Those moments, that phrase, pulled out of context, could feel hurtful or like could break a relationship. But in the context of friendship and people that we trust, those moments might sting a bit, but you know they're good for you and you lean into them in new ways. And that's what I think I'm hoping in this moment here. Like, I bet it did sting for Peter, but there was enough there where Peter was like, okay, all right, like, let's lean back in and figure it out.
Here we go. But
Yeah.
And I think for us, that's always created such a great bond of trust. And maybe this is a thing for Peter and Jesus where, like, it seems so harsh, it seems kind of severe, but it's like, like, well, we know where things go for Peter, but he's got a bumpy road ahead. But even through his bumpy road ahead, maybe a little more trust develops even in this moment.